messes, and being a bit in the box. I'm realizing in my first episode intro, I didn't explain what the Bitz Box was. So, in the miniature building process, you're going to cut out a lot of things, and you might have some extra little bits, and those bits go in a box. I'm sure even if you're not a miniature builder, you have some kind of box that you're keeping all kind of miscellaneous bits in. And sometimes we feel like a miscellaneous out of place bit. So the Bitz box is really what I wanted to reflect in that and shine some light on all of us that feel like bits. So, once again, I am your host Lil, known as Lil Wheelie Cleric, and today I am honored to have this guest on, someone who's played a big journey in my own art, and especially mini painting and developing a style, is Benet. Holy fire them! Benet is a full-time content creator and painter, a horror enthusiast, a fierce advocate for body diversity, and just authentically being yourself. And someone who's been a huge help and honestly a mentor to me. And I hope we get to talk more. This conversation was really, really awesome. They've helped me see that art isn't about chasing some perfected technical skill. It's about finding a style that's honest, that is brave enough to tell your truth and to experiment and to have fun. That's the biggest thing we learn, is that hobbies should be fun. And that right there is the heart of it. Art is gender expression, resistance, and can be a big means of survival. I think a lot of hobbies are. So there's a study from Academia from 2017 that digs into how gender gets represented in contemporary art. So it shows how mainstream art spaces, galleries, schools, institutions of all kinds have a long time curated art through a gendered lens. So certain kinds of works, certain kinds of bodies, that's going to be a big part of this, certain ways of seeing the world were lifted up, and all others were erased. So a big part of my conversation with Benet was about how we can be perceived as artists in the space and as players in the space because of what we look like and how we dress, but also how bodies are made in the miniature sculpts themselves. So the sculpt, usually done digitally on a 3D modeling program, is what is printed out or molded, and we paint. And Ben and I talk a lot about different types of bodies that are represented. And yeah, you'll have your strong heroes and your dainty women, but you'll also have different factions represented of big ogres or even humans that are fat, and their bodies are not shown in a realistic way. And not that someone couldn't have that body type, but something Benet said that really stuck with me was that these fat characters are not wearing clothes that fit. And how they're treated as like bumbling fools, and everyone else on the team. We talk about Blood Bowl, which is a football miniature game. It's super cool. How like everyone else on the team has a fitting uniform except for this big dude in the back, and it's just, yeah. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, getting back to it, art has never been neutral. The idea of good art and serious art was built inside a system that policed who got to create, who got to be seen, who had their work called universal instead of niche. We talk a lot about niche styles and niche communities, so I really liked that part of the 2017 journal article. That again is by Academia. It's Gender and Representation in Contemporary Art. There is also a connection to J.S. White's 2020 research, which I will also reference on another episode, um, in art education. And they found that students are still subtly and sometimes not so subtly being pushed towards different expectations based on gender. What does it mean to make your work bold? Who's told to be neat, pretty, or appealing? You can probably guess which genders those are associated with. Who's taught technical skill matters more than emotional truth? It's not hard to guess that cis men are being encouraged to be daring, experimental, serious, and everyone else, women, non binary people, and trans folks, get boxed into something smaller, told that they need to do tradition to even get noticed because their gender is already experimental and daring. But people like Bennett, they're gonna break open those boxes. The Bitz Box reference. So when you watch Bennett stream and when you look at their painting, when you hear them talk about horror, about body diversity, about queerness, you see that is someone refusing to make themselves smaller for everyone else's comfort. Bennett is such a awesome personality that I am so honored to get to talk to and someone to call my friend and colleague in this hobby space. That is why I think today's conversation is so important and why it's incredibly personal, too. When we talk about art, we're not just talking about supplies and brushes, although we do get into a side tangent about sustainability that I'm going to keep in just because I think it's super important and I'm posting these podcasts publicly for everyone. We also talk about reclaiming the right to see ourselves messy, terrifying, beautiful, and to identify with the monsters and how a lot of trans and non binary people really gravitate towards horror and those uh, not stereotypes, but those depictions of something being fear, because fear can be respected a lot of ways. It's not always good, but it's different than being pitied. So, Bennett's work allows us to invite ourselves into the hobby space, into streaming, into games, into the world of creativity on twitch.com. Uh, it challenges us, cis or trans, queer or straight, fat or thin, to think about how we're making that space bigger and more inclusive for everyone. So, today we're going to be talking with Bennett about their journey through art and gaming, through gender and sexuality, about just building an authentic and creative life, um, and how sometimes you about how sometimes you um, shouldn't, and about how you shouldn't be shamed into silence. So we are going to be jumping into a world of rejecting the old canon and bringing in the beautiful power of new independent art through my lovely friend Bennett. Again, that is at Holy Fire Though. Let's get into it. Here's Bennett.
Well, the answer to both those questions is accidentally. So little 10-year-old Bennett loved Spider-Man more than any other superhero and was walked into one of the local comic book shops, intent on buying a Spider-Man comic, but happened to walk past a Warhammer display, and I think
Oh,
back at this time, I think that was like third edition. It was the one where like the lizard men fighting Bretonians was like the big starter box, which I think is third.
Cool.
It doesn't even matter. Point is, I saw the art for the at the time the lizard men army book that was like all those skink warriors riding on the back of a stegodon, and like 10-year-old Bennett was like, that's dinosaurs riding on dinosaurs to go to war, and I can make them and paint them and have them as my own. This is the coolest thing I've ever heard of. And I
It
immediately
is.
didn't buy Spider-Man. And instead I bought that book and then bothered my parents about getting models and stuff, and then within like by that fall I was painting.
Yeah.
Uh
I
and
mean, 22-year-olds made like that's the coolest thing ever.
yeah,
Dinosaurs on dinosaurs.
it's
Um,
so cool.
yeah.
Yeah, it's still dope. And I mean, that's the kind of like, I don't know, that's the kind of joy that like I want to get from the hobby and like to get and like to perpetuate and see in other people. So like that's, I don't know, whenever I like dinosaurs on dinosaurs, like that's what has kept me going. Like
Yeah.
I've never really taken a break from the hobby more than like a couple months just cuz like school or whatever. Like when I was in
Mhm.
college I didn't really do it, but over the summer I would immediately get back into painting.
Yeah. It's rough
I
out here. It's
Yeah. Yeah. I don't envy it.
yeah.
Uh
So something you are incredibly amazing at is community building and just everything you have going on your Twitch and your Discord, like this whole environment that you've created. How did that kind of start out? Because you run, I guess you are Holy Fire them.
that's me. I'm at
That's
Holy Fire
you.
Them on every single social media platform. Check me out. Make my numbers get higher.
Well,
Um how did I didn't intend like I said, accidental. uh like I started streaming just cuz it was, it's COVID and fucking everybody started streaming during COVID. If you didn't stream, you started a podcast. uh and like I kind of just started streaming painting here and there cuz I was like missing human connection. um and then realized I really enjoyed doing it because it's like the right level of human interaction for me. Like I consider myself introverted, so being able to talk to people through a screen is so much less like emotionally draining than like talking to people face to face. Um so it just kind of clicked with my brain, and my buddy One Inch Heroes Drew was also starting to get into streaming, so we kind of just like joined forces and like set
yes.
up a Discord server and started having people, started having people around. Um and like as far as like other social media platforms, like I've always posted stuff to Instagram just as like a, I don't know, as an archive to just like show off and stuff. Uh uh and then like
Yeah.
I don't know, I just have social media just to because I have it. But like it has only been intentional in as much as like when I realized I wanted to do streaming like full time as a quote unquote job, I realized like I need to have that community in addition
Yeah.
to just like enjoying it because people are cool to be around. So like I think the intention has just been like just say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is where you can find me, and if you like that, hang out, and if you don't, cool. And then just like ban people based on vibes. If the vibes are off, they get kicked, and they don't need to specifically say or do like, I don't know, Nazi shit. They just have to like, the vibes have to be wrong, and I think that is a
Yeah.
thing that's missing from a lot of online spaces is like vibes based moderation.
Yeah, no, because I started out here like as a mod, and I'm still primarily a mod, and I love helping out my streamer friends, and it's just like getting the vibe that like someone is maybe asking too many weird questions or like stuff like that. um,
Yeah.
and just working around. It depends on the size of the space too, but yeah. Um, I kind of want to switch gears to more the topic at hand, gender studies. Um,
Oh.
yes, this is for my pop culture and gender construction class.
Ooh, I like the terminology gender construction. That
Yeah,
feels good.
yeah. So we talk a lot about how gender as a concept was built and how it's reinforced in our modern society and how we can kind of take the ways that it's reinforced and well deconstruct those and really look at the ways that we can create more inclusive communities and also why certain people gravitate toward the more traditional norms as well. um, but I want to ask you, like, how would you describe your gender identity, and how does that relate then to your art?
So I consider myself trans non-binary, they them pronouns. Uh yeah, I think that's all the qualification I need. As far as how it relates to my art, um I I mean, I wish I could say that I like actively have intentionally done things a certain way because I'm queer as fuck now. Oh shit, can I cuss? I mean,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
cool.
you're good. This is explicit. This is we have an assignment in this class. We're building a class playlist, and at the beginning, she's like, "Hey guys, this is gonna be explicit. You can upload whatever music you want." I'm like,
Okay,
"She's cool
I
as fuck."
hell yeah. Um yeah, so I wish I could say that I was like intentional with like I'm gonna I'm gonna explore art in a non-binary way, but like I haven't like sat down and thought about actually doing that. But at the same time, like
Yeah,
I'm one of those people that very much believes that like everything you do is influenced by like your world experience and your
yeah,
politics, and so like I know my art is tied to it, and I don't have the words for it really, but like I don't know. I'm interested in like I I guess the best way I can put it is to say that like the outliers are like what interest me in art, and that's kind of where I am as far as identities go, because like non-binary is like the rejection of the binary, not even just like being somewhere on the spectrum, but like seeing the spectrum and
yeah.
being like, nah, that doesn't apply.
Yeah, and I think that you have such a specific style. Like, I could look up at a line of miniatures and know which one you painted, I feel like. Um, and I really appreciate that about your work. Um, and Jamie said it a lot too, the way that you use color with the kind of more gritty and gore stuff too. Like, it just really is something really different, and I love that. And I just had to say that doesn't even relate to gender
No, I
directly.
I mean shit, it's a hell of a compliment. I appreciate it. But that's also that is actually that does kind of feel like it's like a gender thing, cuz like I know that I generally am like at like my interests are way more goth than I look, generally speaking, but
Yeah.
that's like I definitely am one of those NBs that like dresses like fucking Gonzo, and I like to do that. I like to wear silly patterns that don't match and just like become impossible to look at. And I like doing that with art as well, but I also like doing that like ultra grim, spooky shit, and like finding the comfort between those two zones, or the dissonance between those is like really fun.
Yeah. Speaking of like personal style and like dressing up and stuff, in game stores and like I said, out in the wild, do you have any experiences with feeling accepted or rejected in the war game community? And do you feel like the way you present like draws in other queer people? Like, what are your experiences out there?
Uh, I don't think I dress gay enough or just look gay enough, generally speaking.
I feel that.
I definitely can. I've definitely gotten better at like my gaydar's improved. It used to be really really bad, and it's gotten better, and I'm thankful for that. Um,
That
like
surprises me.
I am just I don't know. I think I'm oblivious, but that's that could be truth, could not. Not the point. Um, so like I generally present pretty mask. Uh, and like even and like I like have facial hair and like even though I've got the long hair and all that stuff, like I'm just sort of a big I'm a big person. I look like your average, like if you imagine your stereotypical like gamer TM, like that I look like that. Uh and a lot of people don't even think twice about it. Uh and when I like actively break binaries with clothes, like when I go out in like a dress or a skirt or whatever, because I definitely catch people like noticing, but like
Yeah.
nobody has ever actually said shit. Well, nobody has said shit to me negatively. I've never gotten like outright hate in person, but also like I am a big person and I wouldn't want to say mean shit to me on the street because I look vaguely intimidating if you think that size is like the thing. So like I've never felt rejected in a like outright hate kind of way. I've definitely felt rejected in that basically even when I have the pin 2 inches like on my lapel 2 inches from my face that says they them,
Yeah.
I get constantly misgendered like in person or online. Like I am always getting called sir, which I fucking hate.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and like some people are like pretty
Pretty
cool
goals.
about some people are pretty cool. Um some people are pretty cool about being corrected and some people really suck at it and like there's a vibe to that like some people I get the vibe that it's like a hostile choice and then I'm just like okay,
Yeah.
you're not gonna call me what I want to be called. That's cool and I know that about you and we're not gonna interact again.
Yeah.
And some people I like definitely just get the vibe that they are forgetful or confused. I'm like, that's different.
Yeah. No, I use any pronouns, so I say that like, oh, it's impossible to misgender me. But the other day I did have an experience that was like at a trans-centered event, and it was like they were like at the beginning, hey, no cis people can speak, and I felt like everyone else, um, like you said, dressed gayer than me, dressed cooler than me, and when they spoke, they were listened to. But then the organizer tried to stop me until someone whispered in their ear, like, "Hey, they are, they are
Yeah,
queer." And I was like,
there's
"Oh, maybe there is a way of just being totally rejected outright." Oof.
I've never felt rejected by like the queers in my community.
Yeah,
But like it's definitely is that's a thing I've been afraid of and I'm sorry that happened to you also.
it's over. It
Uh
was just I was like, "Oh, I haven't felt this before." And like I was so jokey about it being impossible and like feeling kind of both of those binaries and just it was weird.
yeah, it's weird to be like I'm in a place that's like so progressive it's actually kind of conservative. And it's that's also just like you people fucking make assessments based on just like first glance looks, and
Yeah.
that's why I expect to be misgendered like when I'm streaming. Like because I know how I look. And yeah, but like, fuck. I mean, once people get it, like,
Yeah.
especially like the mini painting community is already like a generally pretty welcoming space. There's definitely, I mean, every community has shitheads, but like the mini painting community, particularly on Twitch, is like already like so like supportive and welcoming. But
Yeah.
especially the like even smaller niche of like out queers and people who are down with them is like so loving and so like always there for you, like would take bullets for you. And like at Adepticon, for instance, um
Yeah.
the highlight of my fucking Adepticon was that there one night there was a gender diversity meetup that was just like, are you some flavor of queer? Show up. And I know not everybody likes to be called queer, but I do, so fuck it. And that was just the
Oh, that's
highlight of my
awesome.
Adepticon, because it was all the gays, all the fucking queers, all the NBs, just like right there, hanging out, getting to know each other, and like the friends that I already knew, I like got significantly closer to, and I met a bunch of people I wouldn't have met otherwise.
That's so awesome. I love that, especially having like the coming from online to a real life community
Yes.
is
Yeah,
incredible.
it's really different when you're actually in person with people, cuz like being in a Discord server is tight, but it's not the same thing as being
Hmm.
in a room with 20 people who are all sharing interests and lived experiences of weirdness.
Yeah. Um, and kind of moving to the not so happy parts, but like there are a lot of people, and I think people can think of like Warhammer. This is full of like people that are really strict about the rules, and uh, yeah, like people going woke hammer and all that situation, and being not so progressive. But I think at least I live in a very rural area that's a generally like conservative area, but everyone I've met at game stores like has been incredibly accepting of me, of my trans girlfriend. Um, and I think the people that are not so nice really tend to stay online.
Yes. The people who are the like blatant hate mongers in general do tend to stay online because they're fucking insufferable, and even other shitty people hate being around them.
Yeah.
So they're a very vocal minority of just asshats that don't hang out with people and don't. That's this is a different conversation, but yeah, like
Yeah.
I've gotten more hate online for any of my identities or choices, or just the fact that I think female space marines should exist, like, than I've ever gotten in person actually talking to people.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. That was a topic on my last episode with Hannah, my girlfriend, talking about space marines and female custodies.
Oh yeah.
Because
That
she plays custodies. Yeah.
oh
It's
hell
very
yeah.
funny. Um, but yeah, and it's kind of like it's the interesting conversation of like, do we need a lore reason for this, or can we just have fun?
Well, I mean yes, but also yes to both. Like, the reason that there's lore about there not being female space marines is because it was a business decision that they retroactively justified with lore.
Yeah.
Like, it would be a business decision to start making official female space marines that is then justified by lore. It doesn't fucking matter. Lore is not, like, especially with something like Warhammer, to not even talk about like all the other cool games and minis that exist, but like if we're just talking about Warhammer, they specifically designed the settings to be so vast and inclusive that you can do anything with your armies.
Yeah.
You can't then also go say, well, this can literally never happen, because your marketing is, no, you can do anything, they're
Mm-hmm.
yours.
There's exceptions to everything.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, kind of jumping into that. What are some? cool projects you've seen lately out there, and like, or have miniature lines you're really drawn to?
I mean, it is. I mean, everybody. It feels like everybody's really stoked about Trench Crusade, and I'm one of
For
them. Damn it.
sure.
It's tight as fuck. I love how absolutely ridiculously dark it is. I love uh that in a way that Games Workshop has really fallen away from. Like it actually is everyone sucks and there are no heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like especially as GW's gotten more corporate and like less punk, uh they're like they've there are good guys and bad guys. The draw used to be that there weren't, and everybody was it was all gray and like grim dark. I don't know. This has
Yeah.
been litigated so many times. Point is, Trench Crusade's like actually doing that in a very
Oh
cool
yeah.
way.
Because I've been
Um,
into Warhammer for only like almost 3 years now. Um,
yeah,
and I'm like, GW's never been punk. Oh my god. Um,
yeah. Well,
at least
you
in
know,
my
when you're
purview.
around since the '70s, you know,
Exactly.
just like half the fucking punk musicians out there, if they're still making music, they probably say some dumb shit in their new
Yeah.
songs about not wanting vaccines or whatever the fuck.
Um,
Like,
but yeah, I love Trench Crusade. Like I'm a Sisters of Battle player in Warhammer, and another
yes.
reason Trench Crusade appeals to me is I was raised Catholic and now ex-Catholic, um, and I think that
Congratulations.
congrats on my promotion. And yeah, I love that aesthetic and just kind of twisting it.
Yes. Yeah, very much like my main 40k army is the word bearers. Like I love the like religious aspect. And like I often I don't know, I like exploring that through miniatures because it is like a very safe place to play with really big concepts that can get people really worked up. But like no, they're little war
Yeah,
Barbies.
no,
Uh
exactly. My second army after Sisters I've been growing is Death Guard.
oh
Um,
yeah.
and it's super funny because when I first started looking at stuff, I hated Death Guard. And I think it was just an insecurity of mine. And I'm like, I was deconstructing in my mind that I'm like, oh, these are some of the coolest sculpts, the coolest 3D models, because they are kind of gross and visceral. And I am running away
Yeah.
from that. Uh,
Well, I mean, it's very
yeah,
my like I can't help but think of how horror as a general genre,
yeah,
regardless of medium, horror is like a very queer thing. Like it deals so much with
yeah. Get into
what
it.
society like rejects and represses and is afraid of. Obviously, it's horror, and like that like abjection of queer bodies and queer behavior. It's a Venn diagram within also like these weird monsters. Especially when you've got like factions that are basically just gender deviants, and oh,
Yeah,
that's scary. Like Slanesh fucking rules.
it does. It's such a double-edged sword.
Yes,
We
yes,
also have those models now, and like they're so cool. But it's like the root of what this started from. The four chaos demons, basically.
yeah.
Slanesh being hedonism and yeah, sexual deviance. Like we said, Nurgle, disease, decay.
Well, and
Yeah,
hopelessness.
yeah,
Like it's
exactly.
yeah, it's yeah, I mean the horror is like my big jam. Like when I'm not doing like miniature stuff, I'm probably consuming horror in some facet. Uh
Yeah,
so like those are like the aspects of like the wargaming thing that appeals to me, which is again probably why I'm so into Trench Crusade because it's like unrelentingly horrific.
yeah, and I think it
Um
really relays the horror of war in a way that
Yeah.
like you can only get from Warhammer if you're like actually reading the books and taking that time. Uh,
Yes.
it's just on the face, really cool.
Yeah. I fully forgot where I was going with that. Oh yeah, just so like the like yeah, like they're disgusting, and I think like a part of the queer experience is like reckoning with your own societally like imprinted self-hate. And like everybody has
Yeah,
self-hate, but I think
yeah,
I think queer self-hate and like internalized whatever phobia we're gonna reference is like so brutal. Uh, it takes seeing monsters and relating to monsters like very sometimes just to relate to, and like that's one of the things that's always I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but I'm gonna just go
no,
for it.
please
One
do,
of the things
please.
that has always really pissed me off about Games Workshop sculpts especially
Yeah,
is that like when as a as a big fat gay person, like whenever Games Workshop particularly presents fat bodies, it is
yeah,
always either in a horrific or a comedic context. There's never like people who are just fat and actually that's not their entire identity. Like again with Nurgle, that like they go the direction of like bloated like corpses and stuff like that, but it also just turns into like generally fat, and they're like literally like zombies who want to sacrifice you to their god of death. Like those aren't good guys. But then like even in like Blood Bowl, the football game, there's like the one of the teams like they have fat players. I'm like, cool, that makes sense. Football players often big dudes, but like in even in the context of like everybody having these like professional outfits, the fat players have clothes that don't fit. Like every other player on that team has these like perfectly tailored whatever. And like these
yeah,
are noblemen. And like a nobleman can afford clothes that are gonna fucking fit. But nope. Stomachs fucking hanging out, ass crack hanging out, like just like lazy fucking stereotypes. GW always does that with big people. And it always fucking pisses me off.
yeah.
Uh
And
yeah.
I think, yeah, that's a big thing we see across a lot of media, but it's like in these small sculpts that are conveying this concept, it's like wild that they still make that decision, but yeah,
Yeah, and it's like it's I don't know, it's fucking so like they also have like the ogre army, which is literally just an army of large fat guys
yeah,
who are cannibals. And like honestly, me personally, my interests, I fuck with that. I'm there for that. I have an ogre tattoo because I relate to that and like embrace it. And like they present them very cool, also very like scary and like whatever, but like those sculpts are like the one like exception of like yeah, they're
yeah,
literally monsters, they're ogres, but they're not playing the fact that they're all like 8 foot tall fat
yeah,
dudes. They're not playing that like as a joke. They're just like yeah, these are ogres. And like that I fuck with that. I like those. I want to see them do that more, or even just like have uh like they've started like painting people of color into the models, which people have been fucking pissed about, but that's because people are idiots. Like they've started like in being more inclusive with gender and sculpts and paint jobs with race and sculpts and paint jobs. Like they've got like I feel like disability and like size are like the next two things that need to be
yeah,
like normalized in the fucking hobby, and it's not. And like that's not even GW that does that. Like all the like indie sculptors, like nobody's like great about it.
yeah, yeah. It's very much like a small handful of like really cool things I've seen, but the vast majority, and like especially when you get into the world of like D&D sculpts, which have been around forever, like it can get
Yes.
especially icky um looking at past stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've gone through so much. We've done so much. You're so
You
efficient.
just I just get excited and start talking about shit, you know?
You're so good at podcasts. Um,
Well, thank you. Thank you.
um,
I'm glad I'm winning.
you're winning at podcasts.
Yeah. If this isn't your best episode, I don't want to know actually.
No, most views already.
Oh
Somehow.
shit.
Um, I kind of want to get into my last point here that I thought was really an interesting thought I had that I wanted to discuss with you because I know sometimes you talk about um, your politics, at least your views on stuff, not like specific events, but um, I just wanted to talk about more like what you see in the hobby, see in certain franchises, and how we can kind of reckon with being anti-capitalist in a hobby that's so very consumerist in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah, you're being very generous with I sometimes voice my political opinions. Uh it's more like I am constantly doing that and that's like a focus of stream. Um I I am so aware that this hobby is like from the ground up a deleterious luxury for the rich. Like just hands down like all everything that's used to make the minis and put them together and paint them are like all like toxic chemicals that don't biodegrade normally and like
Yeah.
are wildly wasteful in packaging and like the just amount of shit that doesn't get used. The fact that like and I'm definitely guilty of it. I've straight up just thrown away models before. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people do that.
And I think I saw
Uh
like just this year GW starting a sprue recycling program. Like
yeah.
I that's cool. But 2025.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a little late. Um and like one of the things I've been really happy to see is that there are smaller companies that are going out of their way to be more eco-friendly and like planet aware, which is good because like we're not gonna have a planet soon.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that fucking rules. Like I know, oh shit, I just learned about these guys. What are they called? Bear Cavalry. Is a paint like an indie paint brand. They do texture pastes. All the texture in those texture pastes are recycled coffee grounds, like from a local roastery.
I'm writing that down. That sounds so
I
interesting.
I can't talk to how to the quality of their paint or anything. I haven't used it yet, but like I heard about that and like
Mm-hmm.
that's fucking tight. And I
Yeah.
know that there's a couple creators whose names I'm not gonna remember, and that breaks my heart. But that's ADHD, baby, who are like actively trying to go like uh zero hobby waste and like only use stuff they already have or stuff that they are getting like recycled or whatever like that to like make minis and play games. And I fuck with that in a big way. Uh, I yeah, how do I fucking reckon with being an anti? I mean, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. Uh,
Yeah.
I so I mean I do the classic like first world upper middle class like I'm gonna spend my dollar only with the people that I like. Uh, and I don't spend money at Games Workshop. Like, I love the setting they've created. I've been falling out of love with the game rules, especially as I encounter more like indie groups doing like
Yeah.
shorter, faster, easier games. But like I still think their models are still cool. but I don't buy models from them. I don't buy paint from them. I buy them from whenever I can, local stores, in person, because that's like directly making sure that like my dollar is going to I know where it's going, for the most
Yeah,
part. Like,
exactly.
and I think it's important to be conscious of where you're shopping from. Like, not just like FLGS's friendly local game store, versus corporations, but also just like producers whose values line up with yours. Like, should like I don't like you know what? I'll do it. It's part of it's this is
Do
fuck
it.
AK, dude. AK paints can eat my entire ass. They have marketed multiple times like make your own like Holocaust diorama using our
Aw,
products. Yeah. They do shit like that.
I have
Like,
not seen this.
yeah,
Oh my
they
god.
they 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 had a whole book that was like, here's how you can make war crime dioramas.
Yeah,
And
I've always
they've
felt very icky about historical games that aren't
I
fiction
yes, yeah, historical
completely.
games, like why would you want to I mean I don't understand why you would want to relitigate that stuff, but especially the stuff that like is in recent human memory, that there are like, you know, the effects of those are still being felt. Why would you want to play a Nazi? I would love to play a game where I get to kill Nazis, but I don't
Yeah.
want that. I don't want to hang out with somebody who wants to play the Nazis.
It's like you
Uh,
chose this army. You sat
yeah,
down. You painted them.
yeah.
It's
Uh,
yeah, just
but to
disgusting
get
to
back to
me.
what I'm
Oh
saying, yeah, no,
yeah,
it fucking sucks. To get back to what I'm saying, fuck AK, because they've done shit like that multiple times, and I know that like they have a lot of very quality products, and a lot of people fucking swear by AK, but I don't support their values, so I don't give them my money.
yeah,
Um, and like that feels very much not the same as like actually like protesting, but like that's what it is. That is part
yeah.
of if the hobby is going to be about consumption, which it kind of is, then choosing what you consume fucking matters.
Oh yeah, for sure. And just the hobby community seems so big, and it really is. But in terms of like having a business, it's not that big. And
No, no,
people
not at all.
can really make an impact by what they choose to get. Um, yeah. Like I was just thinking about what I even use, and I recently learned I didn't know that like Turbo Dork makes their bottles out of recycled vape juice bottles. And I was like, why
Yeah.
are they that shape? I figured it out. Um, and I think that's really cool. And like lots of different things in the hobby that I didn't know about until like a year ago. Um, but yeah. And I think another important thing I want to touch on is game stores and being a
Game
patron of
stores.
places that are accepting for gender diverse people, and also having, I think, a third space is really important in
Yes.
our society. Um, so, how do you think game stores or local in real life events can be gender inclusive?
I mean, bathrooms is the obvious one.
Yeah.
Every time I have to make a choice about which bathroom I'm walking into, it's like, why? Especially because
Mm.
most game stores have like single person restrooms. Why are you gonna fucking label it? Like,
Yeah.
it's it's you don't label the bathrooms in your fucking house. Maybe you do. I don't know. Uh,
Oh yeah, I saw that when
bathrooms is a
conservatives realized they have a gender neutral bathroom.
yeah. Um, honestly, it's like for like the way that for me, if I walk into a game store and I see employees that I like clock then I'm immediately like, okay, I'm willing to spend money here. Like the fact that you like employ uh people like minorities at all is like such
Yeah.
a big thing when you could hire fucking Tyler who spends $100 at the store every single day or whatever and
Yeah.
like knows everything about Space Marines, but like you could also hire, you know, somebody else. That was very a shot called at Tyler. I'm so sorry, Tyler.
We're
I don't
sorry, Tyler.
the only Tyler I know is gay as fuck, so this is a weird choice of name. Um but like showing that you're willing to like employ and support uh diverse people, huge. Like even if it's just like having a pride flag out, that does so much to say that like your company, your game store is just like willing to not pretend I don't even exist.
Yeah.
Uh that's fucking tight. Um I think I would love to see just name tags be like name tags with preferred pronouns just be a thing more frequently.
Yeah.
Like especially at a big event, like if you're like playing in a tournament or something, uh, it's you should have name tags anyway, and your name tags should just always have pronouns on them, and
Yeah.
you should just go by the name and the pronouns on the fucking tag, and like that's it, no problems.
Yeah.
And if you refuse to do that, you get booted. End of story.
Yeah. I
Um,
actually I did learn from Hannah recently that they do disqualify people for misgendering in GW tournaments.
and that is a recent thing,
Yeah.
and good for them. I'm happy to fucking hear it. Uh, I don't know. It's the same. It's just cultivating a space that is like very visibly safe to be in. Like you make the
Yeah.
space look safe. Make the space dress the game store as gay as I want to be dressing, and we're set. And like obviously that's not doing the whole work, but it's because you need to fucking stick to it. And like when
Mhm.
as a game store and just as a community in a store, somebody does something shitty, you fucking let them have it. You kick them out or you fucking correct them. To step back from immediately kick them out. You can correct them, and if they don't take the correction, then you fucking kick them out.
Yeah. Um,
Uh,
and I just like have to give props to my local game store I love again because like they even have like kind of like at a similar to what they have at like bars, they have like a sign in the bathroom. I think the two are different in their different bathrooms, but in the one I've been in, it said like ask for purple primer if you feel uncomfortable or someone's making
oh,
you,
that fucking
yeah.
rules.
And I think that's something that really I saw that and immediately was like, yeah, this is a very safe place. Um,
Yeah, that's fucking tight.
yeah, and yeah, just having a place where you can come and game and nothing else super matters for that moment.
Yes.
Because at least for me, as like a visibly disabled person, wheelchair user, like that can really set people back. They're like, what do I say? Why do I feel a need to acknowledge the wheels? Um, and like I don't really care, but it's nice. In this place, I've just been gaming, been painting, and it's been
Hell yeah.
awesome.
I mean, that's the way. It's the way every space should be, but we're working on it. You
Yeah,
know.
for sure, for sure. Um, we're reaching 45 minutes now.
Oh,
So,
oh.
anything, anything you want to end off with? That
Um.
about wargaming, about gender, about you? You want to shout out?
I mean, I already said that you should all follow me on all the things.
Yes. I'd holy fire them.
Yes. Uh, I think I fucking I don't know. Being gay rules.
Yeah.
Even if I think even I think every single person out there should question if they're cis, if they're hetero. The worst that happens is you take some time to learn about yourself and to learn about the rest of the world and find out how other people live, and that you definitely are cis or definitely are hetero. That's the worst case scenario, is that you come away knowing yourself better. The best case scenario is that you stop being straight. uh
That's awesome.
and yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's, I don't know, just fucking make art, explore concepts that you haven't explored before, and like let other people's joy guide you into finding your own, you know?
Yeah. And I think truly it's just about hobbies are things you enjoy. That's like the definition of the thing.
Yeah. The only way to do it wrong is to not have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't let random people on the internet tell you how to live, but also let this random person on the internet tell you how to live. Do it the way that makes you happy.
Hell yeah. And you know what? I've had fun today. Thank you
I
so
have a
much,
blast.
Bennett.
I want to talk about this all day, every day.
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity to do it just a little bit.
You're awesome. Thank you so much for joining me on the Bitz Box. After song.